Hey folks, it's Nate. I'm down in my basement garage on this rainy night while the outskirts of Hurricane Florence drops on Pennsylvania. We're not getting much, but it's enough to be wet, damp outside. Anyway, this is going to be a quick video. I had this idea. So some of you might remember back in May or so, Chris Meacham started this cool My Jeep Story chain, sort of a chain video or whatever you want to call it. You could call it a challenge video, whatever. The concept was simple. He wanted to hear people's Jeep stories. So he started a video and he tagged three other Jeep YouTube channels, and they were expected to tell their story and tag three more, and they were expected to tell their stories and tag three more, and so on and so forth. If you haven't seen these videos, you should go search for My Jeep Story on YouTube. You'll find a bunch, mine included. You'll find Chris's, you'll find CPO, you'll find JeepMomma. Geez, everybody did one. Bleepin' Jeep did it. Well, whatever. I can list them all night, but doesn't matter. There might have been 50 channels. I found a bunch of cool new content out of it. I got a lot of new subscribers out of it. And I had this idea that this shouldn't be something that just dies. So I'm going to continue the tradition. And I'm going to start a new chain. And I'm going to keep the same rules. I'm going to tag three people. I'm going to ask them to do a similar video. And here's my concept. A lot of us on YouTube, we're not just here to do product reviews and to show off our cool off-roading videos. We're here because we love these things. We love these Jeeps. And a lot of Jeep enthusiasts are also, in their head, they're builders. They're makers, they're designers. And they've always got that next concept in mind. Or maybe they have plans for their current rig or whatever. They've always got stuff turning around in here. I know myself, I could probably name you a dozen different build ideas that I've got. So what I want this thread to be is, if you could start over, whether it's with your current rig or whether you would ditch that rig that you've got now and buy something else, if you could start over again, because a lot of us, you start with a cheap lift, you start with low buck mods, and then you, over time, upgrade and upgrade and upgrade. You figure out what worked and what didn't. If you could start over, how would you rebuild your Jeep? Or if you could start over, would you pick a different model and rebuild it? Or if you love your Jeep just the way it is, if you had the money to just go ahead and build yourself a second one, what would it be? I want to hear people's ideas. I want to hear what great ideas other Jeepers on YouTube have had for either alternate or the same builds. So, first of all, my dream build. I've said a number of times, I want to get this thing onto 37s. But I'm on a tight budget. I mean, that's the reason I work in this shop. I've told you guys that a number of times. That's what fuels me to do what I do. I want other people to understand that you don't need to be rich to build one of these things. You just need a little bit of creativity and ingenuity. However, if I had it to do over again, now obviously I haven't done much to this Jeep. To give you a quick rundown, in case you're not that familiar with my rig, it's a 2005 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. It's got an 1 3/4 spacer lift on it. Just some pucks that I got for 20 bucks on eBay, I think, or one of the message forums that I had frequented over the years. So that's spacer lift. I'm still on stock springs. I put on Rubicon Express control arms that I had gotten for free as a hand-me-down from another Jeeper. They were pretty well beat. I've got some Clayton arms that are in much better shape, which will be going on this thing eventually. But anyway, that's pretty much it suspension-wise. Oh, and the Curry anti-rock. I took off the sway bar, put on a Curry anti-rock. Everything else is mostly stock. Stock engine, no crazy intake mods, no snorkel, no skid plates. And that's where I'm going with this. My number one mod that I should have done when I pulled this thing in this garage was either build or buy skid plates. The undercarriage of this thing has been beat to hell. I've shown you some videos of the dent in my oil pan, the dents in my belly pan, and the dents in my transmission protection. I don't know if you even want to call it a skid plate. piece of metal that Jeep has put on there to try to keep the transmission pan from being punctured by rocks. So anyway, that should have been my #1 mod, and if I were starting over again, I would do that. Skid plates, probably body mount relocation, so I can raise the body a little bit, move the transmission up a little bit. You JK owners may not even understand why you would do that, but on the TJs, YJs, and CJs, the transmission hangs below the frame rails. I think they fixed that on the JK. With the TJ and the YJ and the CJ, you can either cut off your body mounts and move them up so the whole body goes up, or you can put on a spacer lift between the body, put on a body lift essentially, and you can then raise the whole transmission up and get yourself some more clearance. Then it would be fenders for better clearance, small lift, maybe like 2 inches, and get me those 37s, and then whatever drivetrain upgrades I would need in the meantime, which would probably be something like slip yoke eliminator, drive shafts, or, if money's no object, Atlas. I'd be putting an Atlas in this thing. But yeah, and then, the things to support it, replace the front 30 with a 44, or get a Rubicon, So, yeah, if I was starting over, that's what I would do. It's hard for me to say starting over because you could say, in essence, I haven't gotten started yet. So maybe that'll just be my plans when I get started. So now I get to pick 3 people. And some channels are going to be tough to name this. For example, Bleepin' Jeep build Jeeps all the freaking time. If you asked him what to build, he would just point in his garage. He'd say, I've already built all the things. But he probably might have some crazy concepts, but whatever. So keep this in mind when you're tagging other people. I'm going to pick 3 people that I think I would really like to know what they would do if they were starting over again. One of them, I think I know the answer, but the other 2, I don't know. So I'll let you guess which ones are which. So first of all, I'm going to tag Chris Meacham. He started this whole thing, and I want to hear if he was starting over, what he would do. Second, I'm going to tag CPO, Overclocked, because he's got a ton of work into his Jeep. It's very customized, and I'm really curious if there's anything he regrets, or if there's anything that he would have done differently, or maybe if he would have just shortcutted his build and go straight to where he is now, knowing what he knows. And the last one is Tammy. Tammy, I know you're not a builder, specifically. I know you have been building your Jeep as you've learned, so I'm sure you've learned a lot. And having learned what you've learned, what would you do differently? All right, so you guys have it. I'm going to get this thing edited. I'm going to get it up as quick as I can, and I expect stories from the 3 of you. Chris Meacham, CPO, who I think is in Moab right now, so I'll give him a little bit of time, and Tammy, who I think is going through all of her footage from Women's Wheeling Day, so she might not even notice this. So anyway, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. I hope this chain is as successful as Chris's chain was, and I'm looking forward to hearing your stories. Thanks for watching.